The Canon R8. No, I'm not buying one. This is why I'm not switching to the Canon R8. Now hear me out, I have some valid reasons for me, and they might apply to some of you guys as well.
I know I'm acting stupid, but I feel so young. Drunk, floating somewhere up in the clouds.
Okay, so the Canon R8 has been announced, and straight up the spec is awesome. It's the best spec entry-level full-frame camera that you can buy at the moment. And I would buy and own a Canon R8, and I think it would be amazing. Yeah, actually I know it would be amazing, but these are the reasons that I'm not going to. Now let's start with the Canon R8. It's a great release. Now if you just want to hear the reasons why I'm not converting, feel free to skip ahead, the chapters are in the description below. Now this video is all my own thoughts and feelings, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think I should do, and if you see the issues that I've come across with my situation. So the Canon R8 has been announced, and it's got some great features. It has oversampled 4K in 24, 25, 30, 50, 60 with no crop. I mean, that's a huge one, and it's also got no record limit. Now, honestly, this alone had me mentally tied up. I was considering pre-ordering the camera just from hearing this alone. Plus, it also does up to 180 frames per second full HD. I mean, Canon have come a long way with their internal frames per second and 4K. This is huge. Now let's put some of the specs on the screen. The new Canon R8 has the 24.2 million megapixel sensor that is in the Canon R6 Mark II. Up to 40 frames per second electronic shutter, the latest version of dual pixel autofocus that tracks people, dogs, cats, motorbikes, you name it, it tracks it. They will tell us it tracks beads of sweat next. Plus a whole host of other standard stuff that you would expect. So the camera is pretty kitted. And like I said, I was super close to pre-ordering this just purely on impulse. But once I sat and worked out all the things that I need to factor in, I actually realised that the camera isn't aimed at someone like me. And I'm going to explain why. So my main camera is the Canon EOS R, and the R8 in spec completely and utterly beats the R with a very, very big stick. And I'm not saying the R is better in any way, shape or form, but stick with me here. What I am saying is if you have an R, the R8 isn't the camera to swap to. Now I'm sure you're asking why, so let's think about things that I can keep. I can use the same lenses, right? I can still use my tripods and my SD cards and most of the other gear that I have that I can use with my R. But the one thing I cannot reuse is batteries. Now the Canon R8 uses the LPE17 batteries. It uses these to keep the size compact so it's a lightweight full frame camera. Now these are the same batteries that the Canon R10 uses. And I've said in a previous video that these don't last particularly long in the smaller R10. Plus the SD card on the R8 is also in the same place as the R10. You have to open the battery door to put your SD card in and out. Now depending on where the camera is mounted, this can be awkward. Now as a current Canon user, I already have LPE6 batteries. And actually I have the one that's normally in my camera and 4 spare. So to swap to the R8 to get a similar setup, I have to take this into account. Now the LPE17 batteries are around $44.99. So if I factor this in with the price, I would have to pay around £1,900 to upgrade to the R8. Now, that's actually the same price as a R6 Mark I new. But the R6 Mark I gains IBIS, a joystick, dual SD card slots. It's still oversampled 4K. Granted, it's from 5K, not from 6K like the current R8. And it has a very small crop and a time limit for recording. I think it's like 30 minutes. But I don't record unlimited footage. Actually, I don't want to. I have no need to, no will to. I hate the thought of scrubbing through that footage or even trying to store it. The sort of things that I record, they tend to be planned out. I don't go and record wedding ceremonies or anything like that. For my style, I don't need unlimited recording. Plus, the R8 is smaller. Actually, it's smaller than an EOS R. Actually, it's lighter than the Canon RP. Now, I like the R10, for instance. Actually, I really enjoy using it, but it's too small and too light. The minute you put something like a 24-70 on it, it doesn't feel balanced at all. Especially not if you're walking around with a camera, and I feel the R8 is going to suffer the same way. Does it make it a lighter setup to carry? 100%, of course it does. But does that also necessarily mean it's better to use? Plus, if I wanted to upgrade to say an R5 or to the R6 Mark II, I'm still going to need the current batteries that I have already. So although the R8 adds a lot for a full frame user, the R8 also feels like a sidestep as a current Canon full frame user. Also, if you look at the cheaper R10 and the R7, they get joysticks. Now, you can use this for most things, and it's fast to find focus points, for instance. The R8 doesn't get that at all. Actually, its recording formats are incredible, but it really is stripped back on usability, almost the same way that a 4-year-old Canon EOS R is. But if you're looking to add, say, a full frame camera to your lineup because you don't have one already, the R8 is going to be an amazing purchase. Or if you're coming from another brand or upgrading from an APS-C Canon, the R8 could be an absolutely cracking buy. I just can't make sense of it to swap as a current full frame user. Part of me wants to add it in, but not use it to replace anything. So I'm stuck. I sort of feel like it's time to change, but what do I change to? Do I go EOS R and an R8? Or do I keep the R10 and get an R8? Or do I get an R10 and an R6? I'm sort of a bit stuck, if that makes sense. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think I should do. Would you swap to an R8? Or would you go for an R6 Mark I or go straight to the R6 Mark II? I do not think either would be a bad choice, and that's just my current thoughts. If you have enjoyed this video, or if you've gotten any value from it whatsoever, do hit the like button and do subscribe. And that's it. That's my thoughts on why I'm not upgrading to the Canon R8, and I don't think that I will. That's my current thoughts. Stay tuned for more content, and I will see you soon. Ciao.